All right, good afternoon, everyone. We would like to welcome you to our Fall 2020 Higher and Post-Secondary Education Applied Project poster session. Thank you all for being here. First, we'd like to, of course, welcome our presenters and our graduate students who will be sharing with you all shortly about some of the work that they've done over the last 15 weeks, although in many cases for many of our students, this represents a longer engagement with the topic, whether it's through their own professional careers or through practicum experiences. But what this culminating project will give you an opportunity to do is to learn a little bit more about the things that they've been able to research and gather data on and share findings related to critical and timely issues within higher and post-secondary education context. I should have started by saying my name is Kia McGuire. I'm an associate professor in the higher and post-secondary education program. My gender pronouns are he, him, and his. Um, and I would also like to acknowledge the ancestral homelands of the Acme, Atham, and Peepash peoples' lands, which we all are working from and learning on. And so I would like to start by simply sharing a little bit about the program and more importantly, where this project fits within that within students' learning experiences. And then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. McIntyre, who will share a little bit more about the floor of the events for today. Again, our higher and post-secondary education program is an opportunity and a learning experience that's really geared to prepare professionals to work in a variety of contexts on college and university campuses. One of the things that has become a core identity of our program has been the process by which we help and work alongside students as they learn ways to gather data, analyze data, all in the service of improving higher education practice and policy wherever they may be located. And so this applied inquiry or applied project, that poster session that you see here today is a culmination of a 15-week exercise or experience. During the first 7.5 weeks, our students have an opportunity to design a project. Of course, these projects are oftentimes very ambitious, and over our 15 weeks, we are able to pare it down into something that is not only manageable, but that will be impactful with the data that they're able to gather. And then in this session B of the semester, students are able to carry out their research project. And we'll get a little bit towards this at the end of the session today when we give some thank yous, but you should know this represents not only the work of our students and the faculty who are in the classroom, but also a number of mentors who sign up to work with students along and help give feedback on their projects as they're being designed and carried out. So we look forward to you all engaging with our students today, asking them questions, learning about their research, and hopefully having a very invigorating conversation. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. McIntyre, who will say a little bit more about how the rest of the afternoon will be spent.
Thank you. Hi there. My name is Lisa McIntyre. I am an executive director in the University Provost Office at ASU and teach in the Master in Higher Ed program. The applied project is one of my favorite classes because, as Dr. McGuire said, this is about the topics that the students are most interested in. And so I always learn a lot about topics that I maybe don't get exposure to on a regular basis. So I hope all our guests have that same experience. Our students will be presenting in small breakout rooms of 3 to 4 folks. Dr. McGuire is going to put a link in the chat where you can find the Zoom breakout room link for the individual that you're here to support or the breakout room that you're most interested in. They are grouped by topics. We ask that you mute your microphones. You're all doing a great job of that if you're not the one presenting. We will present in order of the link that Dr. McGuire just shared. There will be a facilitator in the room to just kind of make sure all the technical pieces go right. They will be recorded sessions. We also ask that you hold all your questions until all of the presentations in your breakout room are complete, and then we'll open up that session for questions. We do encourage you to ask questions. These folks are experts on this topic and have spent a lot of time and energy becoming experts. And so this is a great opportunity for them to answer any questions that you might have. Once all the presentations in your breakout room are complete, we ask you to come back to this main session room for us to wrap up the program. So with that, Dr. McGuire, anything I missed or you want to add before we break out?
Nope, that's it. And please reach out to us for any questions that you might have. Dr. McIntyre and I will be moving from room to room. I see that I just got a message in the chat asking, can individuals move from room to room? Yes, as long as you're not a presenter. So all of our guests beyond the students are able to again move as you would like to bounce around to hear different topics of conversation and discussion. And so again, at this time, we'll give folks about 5 to 7 minutes to make your way over to your rooms. For our students who are on the call, again, look at the sheet as well so that you can go to the room that you will be in. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So thank you and welcome all again.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dakota, and I'm in the Masters of Education Higher and Post-Secondary Education Administration program at Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College at Arizona State University. Today's presentation is on a study I completed, which was a quantitative study of campus climate and veteran student college experience satisfaction at Phoenix College. So why veterans and campus climate? Well, as someone who is passionate about veterans issues, I also used to train service dogs and interacted with a lot of veterans during my time doing that. And I also completed my practicum at Veteran Services at Phoenix College. I've seen firsthand how campus climate can impact the student population. And so as the financial burden of going to college is alleviated by that GI Bill, and more specifically the post 9/11 GI Bill, we should shift our focus to looking at other factors that could impact the veteran population. And one of those factors could quite possibly be campus climate. And so for the utilization of this study, I utilized Hart and Fellowbaum's definition of campus climate, which is defined as the current common patterns of important dimensions of organizational life or its members' perceptions of attitudes towards those dimensions. And this could be things like faculty engagement, students going to faculty office hours, peer-to-peer interactions, such as peer-to-peer tutoring, engagement in clubs and organizations on campus, as well as the placement of buildings on campus. Campus climate has become somewhat of a buzzword here in higher education. Over the past several years, we've heard about campus climate a lot more within our field. And I believe that this concept could be utilized to look at how our campuses are functioning and how we can be more inviting and inclusive to all student populations. The focus of the study was veteran students and how their perceptions of the aforementioned campus climate factors can impact their overall satisfaction at their campus. So the purpose of this study was to assess campus climate and the perceptions of the veteran student population at Phoenix College and the impact that campus climate has on their satisfaction levels during their college experience. My main research question was, how do perceptions of campus climate impact veteran students' college satisfaction? And then my sub-question was, what factors most affect veteran students' perceptions of campus climate? I want to talk a little bit about my methodology. The setting of the study was at Phoenix College, and more specifically at Phoenix College Veteran Services. I utilized the Veteran Services Department as I worked with the Director of Veteran Services during my practicum and was able to send out my survey via the director. It was also a really great way to pull from that population to get my sample size. For my participants, they were students who attend Phoenix College currently who have served in the United States military at any capacity at any time. This did not include dependents, which would be spouses of veterans or children of veterans who would qualify as dependents. I had 17 student responses. My research design was a quantitative correlational study. I utilized an email survey that I created through Qualtrics. There were both Likert scale type questions, which would be closed-ended questions, and then I also utilized open-ended questions. For my analysis, I used a bivariate design. I utilized cross-tabulation for those Likert type scale questions, and then I utilized open and axial coding for those open-ended questions, which were more qualitative in nature. To begin, I want to kind of go over the demographics of the 17 students who responded. And so as you can see with the gender of the participants, we had pretty equal participation for both genders. We did not have any non-binary students or those who considered themselves others. I was surprised to see more female respondents than males, but we did have a very even responding of the genders of our participants. Now, when we look at the race of participants, as you can see, we do have more white respondents as well as Hispanic, and then other or multiracial, and then a couple who declined to respond. I would have liked to see more diversity within the responses, but when I looked at Phoenix College's institutional effectiveness information, I did see that the population of my respondents was, or my demographics of my respondents was very reflective of the demographics of Phoenix College, which is predominantly Hispanic and white students. If this was to be replicated at other colleges, this may look different. For my study, I did include all 5 branches, but we unfortunately didn't have any Coast Guard respondents, and so it would be Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marines. To talk about some key findings, my first one was the correlation with engagement and satisfaction. As you can see from this graph, as college satisfaction increased, so did likeliness of engaging in activities. So this question was, how likely are you to join a club or organization at Phoenix College? And as the likelihood of going, or as the satisfaction of these students during their college experience was increasing, so was the likelihood of joining a club or an organization, which showed me that engagement and satisfaction had some sort of relationship. Now, when I looked at other questions, such as how likely are you to attend a faculty meeting or office hours, how likely are you to participate in peer-to-peer interactions such as tutoring, and how likely are you to use departments outside of veteran services, we saw a similar trend here. And although for this one, the frequency was more in the middle, for the others, the frequency ended up being more on that top half of satisfaction and engagement. And so that showed me that engagement and satisfaction were correlated throughout this study. Moving on, these are my open-ended questions that I asked that I got a lot of rich data from. The first open-ended question was specifically focused on their veteran services department and the experience that students had while they were at veteran services. In order to show the themes and the information I got from these students' responses while keeping them confidential, I decided to go with word clouds. So as you can see, the basic themes are obviously veterans, benefits, services, but when we look more closely at it, we see words like friendly and help and care. And so when we were analyzing this data and looking at common themes, it showed that participants were had a very positive outlook on their veteran services department and had a better outlook on their campus climate because of their veteran services department. They knew that they could always go to the veteran services department if they needed something. It was always a friendly face for them to go to. If they didn't know a question about maybe financial aid, they knew they could go to the department. Students didn't seem to use departments outside of veteran services quite as frequently unless they had to, which shows to me that veteran services as a key finding was an important piece to the veteran student population and is an important concept for the campus climate of Phoenix College to the veteran service or to the veteran student population. Moving on to this next word cloud, the second open-ended question was specifically focused on being a veteran on campus and how that experience was as a veteran. And so again, as we see, we have veteran education, college, common themes within the answers. But when we look closer, we see words like professors and student experience. So those were my next 2 key factors for campus climate. most students said that whether positive or negative, their interactions with their professors and the faculty at Phoenix College was very influential to their college satisfaction and the campus climate perceptions. And so that shows to me that professors and faculty are really important pieces to our campus climate at Phoenix College. The next one again was student experience, and that was specifically related to the veteran civilian peer interaction and how when a veteran is sitting in class, certain peers might say things or they might look more different than their peers if they're a non-traditional student. And so those interactions were very important to the campus climate as well, with the student responses that we got from that open-ended question. Which to me tells me that the veteran and civilian peer pipeline is very important in our campus climate and looking more at that for college satisfaction. So some implications for practice. The first one, as a higher education professional, enrollment and retention is very important. So looking at our campus climate at Phoenix College and deciding if there's some things that we can take from this study to implement into our enrollment and retention, to look at our campus climate and know that this could potentially be a factor that is more negatively impacting our retention rates. With enrollment, veterans will probably still be coming to school because of that GI Bill, but the retention factor is more important, and making sure that our campus climate is inclusive to those students and that we're keeping them till graduation and sending them off into the world with a degree. The next implication for practice is meaningful interactions. This was a two-faceted concept. So the first facet for meaningful interactions is those interactions between higher education professionals and administrators with students, making sure that the higher educational professionals aren't using cookie cutter techniques in order to interact with the veteran population, because from the perceptions of their campus climate, there's different needs that those students need. Outside of maybe some other populations. So making sure that higher education professionals outside of the Veteran Services Department are utilizing same key concepts that the Veteran Services Department utilizes when interacting with the veteran student population. That second facet is actually with the peer and veteran population, and making sure that we're looking at the campus climate between the two and bridging that gap between the veteran and civilian population, and making sure that peer interactions within the classroom are positive and inclusive for veterans and civilian students. Lastly, like I said, a big factor for campus climate was faculty interactions with veteran students. So we want to make sure that faculty are looking at their campus climate and seeing what their veteran students need within the classroom to create an inclusive environment for those students, making sure that if it's creating more checklists within their program, to make sure that veterans have hard copies of things to check off. If that's faculty, making sure that their veteran students are being more engaged and just making sure that they're helping out with engagement, since that is highly correlated with the satisfaction level of college experience, which could lead to retention and graduation. So faculty are going to be an important key concept to keeping our veteran students enrolled at Phoenix College and keeping them highly motivated to graduate and satisfied with their college experience at the end. Thank you for attending, and I will take questions or comments now.
Thank you so much. So thank you for that, Jordan. So I have to say, this is my first time participating in a virtual poster session, and that felt like a whirlwind, but in a good way. So thank you all for your presentations. Both Dr. McIntyre and I had an opportunity to hop around from room to room. I'm actually going to stop talking and turn over to Dr. McIntyre, and I'll say a little bit more to close us out at the end.
All right. I just wanted to congratulate all of you. You should be very proud of what you did. I know this semester was like none other. Just like Dr. McGuire, that was my first virtual poster session. And I just want to commend you all on your resilience and determination in making it work. We had all kinds of fun challenges to work through, and we all did it and had great communication. And I think you all, just the potential is limitless for all of you. So I wish you all the best of luck. I hope to hear updates from you all where your careers take you, and always here as a resource for you all. So I see all the applause and celebrations going up. It might be a bit much to unmute and do a round of applause, but want to thank all the guests, family members who were able to join us today. That is one of the great things about our virtual opportunity, is that I think we might have been able to expand our audience a bit more. We will be sharing recordings with the students. So if you weren't able to have a guest join us today, please share it with them. There's no way any of us would have made it through this program without all the support of our family and friends. And I also want to thank our colleagues. So every student in this part of the project has access to a professional mentor who's met with them multiple times throughout the semester and giving them feedback and encouragement. And so thank you all for doing that for our students. It really was great to see the feedback and insights, and having that other perspective to bounce ideas around was really helpful and benefited the work. So all right, well, I'll stop gushing. Dr. McGuire, what did you have?
Yeah, so just one more thank you before we move on, which is to Jody and her team who have handled all the logistical um, responsibilities for today, is setting up the virtual rooms, making sure that all the Zoom links work, and making sure that we have facilitators in each room. So thank you to Jody, Ashley, Pinnock, Liam, Caitlin, for your support and making sure that this program went off without any hiccups. So thank you all very much for making this easy for Dr. McIntyre and myself. I also would just like to echo Dr. McIntyre and thank our mentors. Usually we have like mentors and program instructors like raise their hand. I think there's a reaction to do that. So if you know how to raise your hand or put a thumbs up, maybe if you want to put a thumbs up, how about that? So we can acknowledge all of our mentors and program faculty who teach and work alongside our students throughout the program. Your support is sincerely and deeply appreciated. As you all know, I think one of the biggest strengths of our program is that we have meaningful and long-lasting relationships with individuals who are educators and scholars working both at ASU, but also across the Valley, and sometimes as well as in other states. And so we appreciate the support that you provide, and the mentorship and the learning that you, or the way that you help to expand the learning of our students in our program. So thank you very much for that. And most importantly, I want to say congratulations and thank you to our students. I'm sure it cannot go overstated, I think, how unique this semester has been. And you all continue to approach the project and your capstone experience with enthusiasm, with a level of dedication, a level of flexibility and creativity that I think I was just excited to see, and gave me also energy as I entered and worked with you all over the last 7.5 weeks. And so I know very few things feel like it's normal as far as celebrating things in this particular context, but we do hope that you will find time to honor this moment in some way, to reflect back on all of the hard work that you've accomplished over your time in the program, and that you are able to enjoy at least a moment of reprieve with family and friends and colleagues, because what you have accomplished not only today and throughout the semester, but over the program is definitely worth celebrating. And it has been our pleasure to be on this journey alongside of you. So there's just two more things before we wrap up. So first one is kind of an announcement of sorts, which is at the very end, we'll ask all mentors, program faculty, and students to stay on the call so that we can take a photo. We may have to take multiple photos. I actually don't know how this works, taking photos in Zoom, but Jody will be here to assist us with that. And also every semester during the capstone experience, we have an opportunity to recognize a student, one of your colleagues and peers, who is nominated by program faculty as a recognition for their achievement and contributions, both inside and outside of the classroom, to the higher and post-secondary education program. And so this year we'll have an opportunity to do the same. And what I'm going to do is just share very briefly what one nominator said about this particular student before I announce who the student is. And again, we and Lindsay, Dr. Dipple, who was on the call, normally does this part and does it much more eloquently than I do as I fumble through this process. But it's really an opportunity for us to recognize a peer who has made significant contributions, who has also impressed upon faculty with their dedication, not simply in this course, but throughout the program, and is therefore worthy of the nomination. We usually will hand you a piece of paper or a certificate of an award framed. We will have to connect after this in order to pass that along to you. But one nominator said about this student, that this student is extremely engaged. They also demonstrate a high level of intellectual curiosity, and they also not only work well with students, but embrace collaboration, and that this student in particular deserves recognition for their outstanding contributions that they made to the learning environment within and across classrooms. And so without further ado, that student is Dakota Weber. So let's give Dakota a round of applause. And also, Dakota, congratulations. I know you didn't know this was happening. You and I can connect after to make sure that you get your certificate and award. But again, congratulations, and for an award that's well deserved. Okay. Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So we're going to stop there. Again, thank you for everyone who came and visited with us. We'll ask for the students and program faculty and mentors to stay on so that we can get one picture, and we'll share that out with everyone as well.